Washington Commanders are undefeated preseason and regular season in the Josh Harris era. But how long can we expect that to continue? Welcome into the Commanders Report with our post-game coverage of this 20-16 Week 1 victory for the Washington Commanders at FedEx Field over the Arizona Cardinals. Now let's take a look at the numbers from this game. Sam Howell, 19-31, 202 yards passing, a touchdown, an interception, and a fumble loss that ended up being the only touchdown of the day for the Arizona Cardinals. Brian Robinson Jr., 19 carries, only 59 yards, so not very efficient for B-Rob today. One receiving touchdown, though, from Sam Howell for the first score of the game. Curtis Samuel is the leading receiving option for the Commanders with 54 yards on 5 receptions. Had a couple nice chunks there. Of course, the Cardinals had Joshua Dobbs as their starter. Decently efficient, 21-30 for 132 yards. James Conner, 14 carries, 62 yards. And then Rondale Moore, 3 yards and 33 was their leading receiver. They tried to use him mostly on screens. They tried to get the run game going, but the Commanders' defense was actually pretty darn good. Going to be talking about that here in just a second, but first, join the family here at the Commanders Report, where we're talking Commanders football all year long. Post-game reactions, injury news, trade rumors coming up here leading into the trade deadline. Make sure you click that subscribe button because it's subs for dubs here on the Commanders Report. Now let's get into my takeaways here, starting with the offensive line. It was bad today, but it was, what are we going to expect, right? 6 sacks in this one, and Sam Howell was constantly under pressure. And let's face it, man, the Arizona Cardinals pass rush isn't the most talented in the National Football League. So what's it going to look like when you're going up against the New York Giants or the Philadelphia Eagles or the Dallas Cowboys within the division where you've got some pretty darn good pass rushes they are facing this season? And today, 6 sacks, man, that doesn't sit well with me. After the first couple of games here, I really want this offensive line to show me that they can be a cohesive unit here heading into the 2023 season. They didn't look really the part today, but I liked how Sam Howell handled the adversity. We're going to be talking about him here in just a second. But first, grade the performance for the Washington Commanders versus the Arizona Cardinals here in Week 1. Give me an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. And this is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. Take advantage of that time by grading the Commanders' Week 1 performance. Now let's talk about Sam Howell, and he really didn't have much help with that offensive line, but I liked what he was able to do today. I thought that he was very decisive in his reads. He looked relatively comfortable in terms of getting through his reads, and he was pretty darn accurate today. I don't really have any complaints with him today. Yes, 19-31 isn't necessarily the most efficient game in the world for Sam Howell, but I thought he ran the ball pretty decently. There was that one lost fumble that led to the touchdown that looks really bad on the highlight film, and then, of course, the interception. But he did have a passing touchdown. He did have a rushing touchdown, and he had the adversity of that offensive line, which I've been saying for weeks now is going to be a problem. I thought Sam handled the adversity pretty darn well, and I'm excited to see how he progresses here and builds off of this Week 1 performance in a win. And then my MVP for the day here has to be Montez Sweat. The edge rusher had his breakout season last year, currently trying to earn himself a massive extension with the Washington Commanders or elsewhere as he is a free agent next offseason. Had a sack and a half today, 2 tackles for loss, 5 total tackles. He was huge. He also had a forced fumble, which was a key crucial part in today's game. Montez Sweat was the MVP for this game, in my opinion, and he was a big reason why the Commanders were able to squeak out with a 4-point victory against what many people believe is the worst team in the National Football League heading into the year. Now, shout out your guy down there in the comments section. Who was today's MVP in your opinion? Let me know who your guy was today down there in the comments section. And before I reveal the rest of my takeaways, let's have a word from our sponsor here at BetUS. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use promo code CHAT125 to get a 125% deposit bonus to use on your bets this football season. That means if you put in $100 to $600 in a deposit on the BetUS website, they're going to give you 125% of that money back to you to use on your bets. So take advantage of that right now. Chatsports.com/bet, promo code CHAT125. Now, my fourth takeaway from today's win over the Cardinals is that you have to run the football better. And listen, man, I've been saying for weeks, it's going to be tough to run the football when you have an offensive line with the talent level that the Commanders have. Let's just be honest here. Sadiq Charles didn't look great today. Nick Gates didn't look great today. I mean, Charles Leno Jr. even had some lapses in today's game. And, I'm looking at this offensive line as a unit. And, they're not protecting the quarterback. Brian Robinson Jr., who's a talented guy, got only 59 yards on 19 carries. That's not efficient enough. And I'm looking at this situation. It needs to improve moving forward, whether that means bringing in, Ben Jones, a center, whether that means bringing in Dalton Reisner in free agency, whatever it takes here. Ron Rivera has no more excuses, man. He has to see that this offensive line isn't it, and it needs to be fixed, and fixed now if this team is going to make the playoffs. Now let's go into the last kind of point that I have here is that the Commanders were a little bit lucky today, just a bit lucky. You're at home. You're playing against a really bad team in the Arizona Cardinals where Joshua Dobbs is their freaking quarterback, for Christ's sake, and you just squeak away with a 4-point victory. That's not good enough. And with all the turnovers that the Commanders had today, right? Sam Howell turned it over twice today. Antonio Gibson had a fumble. Terry McLaurin had a fumble but was recovered by the Commanders. There's just too many mistakes by the Washington Commanders in today's game. And if you're not playing arguably the worst team in football, or in the National Football League, I should say, you're probably not winning this football game at home. And you're kind of lucky you came away with this 4-point victory. Montez Sweat was a big part of that. I thought the defense looked really good. Emmanuel Forbes had that big pass deflection. The rookie tight end the rookie corner out of Mississippi State had a big pass deflection there in the fourth quarter to finish things off. Really thought that, the Commanders' defense played well today, but the offense definitely has some things to iron out, namely on the offensive line. Terry McLaurin looked a little bit slower today, only 2 catches. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what this team can do with a 1-0 record heading into Mile High Stadium next week versus the Denver Broncos. Now let me hear it down there in the comment section. What is your one-word reaction to the win today? Can't wait to see what you guys have cooking down there in the comment section. And some final thoughts from me here. 20-16 final score. And listen, man, as long as the Commanders keep winning football games, I'm going to be happy. They won all their preseason games. They won their first regular season game. I predicted this game to be 30-10 because I thought this was an excellent opportunity to get Sam Howell some confidence moving into the 2023 season. Because coming up here, there's a gambit of really tough games. You got Denver on the road, then you've got Buffalo at home. That's going to be a tough one. Then you got the Eagles on the road. So, I think next week is going to be really, really important for the Commanders to win because Buffalo and the Eagles, those are going to be 2 tough games. If you beat the Broncos, you're kind of playing with house money. If you go 2-2 and you get out of week 4 at 2-2, you feel pretty good. But if you lose against the Broncos next week, and then you lose to the Bills, and then you lose to the Eagles, those 3 tough games in a row, you're at 1-3, and you're feeling a bit shaky after only beating the Cardinals by 4 points here in week 1. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you click that subscribe button because we're going to be having injury updates. We're going to be having trade rumors. We're going to have a bunch of different Commanders content for you guys. We'll also preview that Sunday matchup versus the Denver Broncos early on this week. You're not going to want to miss it, so make sure you click that subscribe button for me right now. If you love the Commanders, that'll be it for me today, guys. I will see you guys later, and as always, hail to the Commanders.